Well, thank you for the answer. I'll just like to introduce myself. I'm Jeffrey. I lead innovation and marketing at the Center of Applied Data Science, or AKA CATS. Just a little bit about me and then CATS. I don't come from marketing background. Okay, I come from product design actually, and eventually move into innovation and growth. And I've worked with ambitious teams from companies of all spectrums, whether it's startups, to enterprises, to governments in Canada, Europe, Singapore, and also in Malaysia. My scope of work is mainly to help them give clarity on what's next through user insights, foresight trends, and then help them build the next big thing, whether it's a new product, services, processes, business model, and then help them grow from 0 to 1 and help them achieve faster time to market fit. And this is what I'm also doing here at CATS. Now, just show of hands. Have you heard about CATS before? I just need to know if you've heard about CATS or the Center of Applied Data Science. So you can type it in the chat also. Ani said yes. Have you heard about CATS before? No. Ahmad said no. Okay. I'm gonna take it as a lot of you haven't heard about CATS before. Okay. In that case, I'll do a very quick introduction about what CATS is about. Our mission is to help future-proof the workforce with data literacy skills through an AI platform. All right. And this is just basically a summary of what we do at CATS. It looks blown up, but our mandate has always been helping organizations to become data-driven. And in order for it to become data-driven, you gotta have a data literate workforce. So think about, since the pandemic started, we have a lot of businesses that has to go digital suddenly. All right. I mean, in order for you to become a digital company or tech company, you gotta play with data. Right. That's a very important aspect that you need to know. But the problem is that a lot of workers, they aren't able to utilize these different data that comes from your social media, whether it comes from your products, etc. And that's why it's important for everyone, especially if you're in white collar job, you need to become data literate. Data literacy is just basically the ability for you to communicate with data, work with data, understand data, analyze data, talk to other people's data. And this is basically how Google employees work. If you actually have to make your point, you have to make a point using your opinion versus data. You've got to basically go with the opinion of your superior. So that is why with data, you can do this so much more. And our business spectrum is literally about helping the demand side, which is the companies, as well as the supply side, which is most of you over here. All right. So on the demand side, we help organizations to become highly mature data-driven organizations. And on the supply side, which is you lots, is basically we provide a community for beginners to start their journey to become data literate. So it doesn't matter if you are engineer or you're a designer or you're an accountant. The goal is that you gotta be a data literate accountant, you gotta be a data literate engineer, data literate designer. Okay. All right. And this is really important because without it, we are living in the 21st century where everything's predominantly based around data, and you cannot live without it. And that is why it's important for you to be data literate. Now, okay. So, the topic of this webinar is about data-driven marketing. But let's start let's start with what data-driven means. What that really means is that you're basically using data, analytics, and AI to gain insights and make decisions. Okay, that's really about it. That's what being data-driven means. That you might be hearing a lot of jargons outside, but my talk over here is meant to debunk some of the myths and how you too can get started. Doesn't matter if you're still a student, you're startups, or you work in a big company. And let's take a look at the first, I mentioned over here that you gotta use data to gain insights. And what this means is, first, you gotta collect the data. All right. Everyone has data these days. If you have mobile phones, use apps, you're creating data. But if you want to run a business or you work for a business, you gotta have the means to collect the data. And this data can come from, chatbot, in the forms of, the links that has been clicked, the tickets closed. It can come from social media, the number of views, the shares, the click rate, product. Okay, the data can come from a product too. This is MAU. If you're gonna be in tech, you gotta learn about this. This is monthly active user. This is weekly active user, session times, the load times. These are all different pockets of data in different places. Your website, your CRM, your emails, your database. There's so many data out there that that you just got to do something about it, because this is the game that companies are playing these days. Like China, for example, the country that is gonna, they claim that they're gonna dominate the world using data. But number two, after you collect, all right, you gotta analyze. When you analyze, what it means is basically you gotta describe and diagnose the data into actionable insights with analytics. Analyze analytics. All right. So you got all of these pockets of data that come from different sources. All right, in light blue, and then it gets feed into a place. All right, and then you get an aha moment. It'll tell you this happened. This is why it happened. Okay, your sales have gone up by 10%, and this is why it happened. 10% because you introduce a new service. Okay, this is analytics. Data analytics are two different things. Very often you might even see that people just use this interchangeably, but what this literally means is basically doing these two activities. And then the third thing, which is AI. AI always correlates to automation. Okay, it helps you to predict and impact and prescribe and recommend you what decisions that you can make. So imagine here, you got the data that comes into to a place. You get your aha moment. This happened. This is why it happened. And then it'll tell you things like sales will increase by another 10 to 15% if you do A. And it'll increase by another 20 to 30% if you do B also. And it'll tell you things like, if you don't remove X before Y happens, you will lose Z by 20%. Collision, this is for cars, for example, especially those autonomous vehicles. Collision will 90% likely to happen if you drive at 100 miles per hour. You gotta drive at maximum 60 miles per hour. Okay, these are the kind of things. So data has to be fed in first. The location, it will analyze it for you, tells you what happened, why it happened, then it could actually prescribe you. So obviously, a lot of business models in the world, like Amazon, this is basically the engine that runs how it works. Okay, so collect data, analyze with analytics, automate with AI. Right, so you can see this flywheel over here: collect, analyze, and automate. Just remember this visual. So like I said earlier, if you watch Netflix these days, there's so many shows. Basically, Netflix take into account on what you have watched. All right. This is Amazon. If you bought certain things before, it'll pair you up with different recommendations of products that you might actually want based on other people's buying behavior. Okay, this is literally using, AI. This is what you're looking at over here is a dashboard for all of the ships in the world, freight ships. Okay, where are they traveling? Where are they parked at? In which port? And this is, a multi-million, actually $1 billion of business, because it affects everything and everyone in every department. I mean, I could go more into details, but there's so many examples out here. Now, I talked to you about data driven. Now I'm gonna go into the second part, which is marketing. All right, marketing, there may be a different definition for different people, but for the sake of agreement, in this call, marketing is basically moving people along the journey from strangers to loyalists. It doesn't matter if you're in B2C or B2B. Okay, it will look something like this. Okay, starts with awareness. You know, you gotta get people to be aware of your products and services. Okay, and then you nurture them. Okay, you gotta nurture them, keep feeding them with information, education, funny videos. Just basically turning them from a cold lead, if it's in B2B, into a hot lead. Or if it's in B2C, they get aware and then they find more product information and then you acquire them. Once you acquire them, you got to activate them to use the product for the first time, or you can call it onboarding or whatnot. Okay. And then once they start using it, then your challenge will have to be, how do you maintain retention? How do you keep on getting them to come back again and again and again and again and again? How do you make it sticky? How do you make sure that they keep engaging with products? So this is where you gotta focus a lot on incremental value. Then, you know, they become fans, and obviously they will refer to other people, their friends, their family, their co-workers. This is also very important. And then once you have churn is just basically the word that says that you've lost the customers. Once they've churned, then how do you get them back? All right. So this is what marketing is about. And data-driven marketing is literally about using data, analytics, AI to gain insights and make decisions so that you can move people along the journey from strangers to loyalists. Okay, that's what it really means. It is as simple as that. You can ignore other jargons out there, and because this is basically a simple way for you to understand. Okay, so just a few examples over here. I'm not sure you've heard about programmatic ads before. If you've read articles, you know, in your phone or using a computer, maybe you've seen some ads about, you know, a product that that you browsed before. Like you look for shoes, and then suddenly you look at another article in a website. They'll show you shoes. That is using the same methods that I approach that I mentioned. Olay, this is basically in America. Obviously, they are a skincare brand, and using data and analytics, they found out that, you know, the people who care about skincare also, you know, they also like horror stuff, horror movies and things like that. That's actually quite a revelation for them. So they ended up creating a video advertisement and pasted it in a Super Bowl. It's like a big, you know, American football competition. They've got a lot of videos up there, so they just posted that because they also know that their customer base is also watching Super Bowl. All right, last one over here. They found out in America, you know, they did a survey for the US consumers. When they move into a new home, how many of them, or how many percentage of them end up trying new products and services? Okay, because, you know, you live a new, you know, you got a new home, you move into a new home, it's a chance for you to try something new, a new broadband service provider. Okay. In this case, it'll be TV. Okay, so they ended up, and after, you know, armed with this insights that come from their data analytics, they created a promotion just for these groups of people. Okay, these are just very high level examples. But in marketing, it's very important that we got to understand what is the most important data-driven marketing objectives. All right, so there's basically a survey that is being done to hundreds of marketing influencers around the world, and the top answer is about, you know, we want to use data analytics and AI to make more decisions, marketing decisions, which usually everything about how do you acquire new customers, how do you make sure that the data between different sources talk to each other? Okay, how do you make apps talk to each other? That's important. With the data that you have, how do you make sure that they are accurate? How do you enrich them? How do you make sure that they're accurate, complete? How do you segment target markets? Not just by demographics, gender, age, race, but also by psychographic, which is about the qualitative behavior. Then this is also an important one. If you've been in business long enough, you'll probably find out that sometimes there's a saying that marketing is just a cost. So that is not true, because you have to find ways on how marketing is actually being attributed to sales revenue. So this is another usage. And of course, data and analytics is used to align both marketing and sales teams together. Okay, so these are the the rank order of the most important objectives if you want to start using this. In the near future, I believe that it won't be called data-driven marketing anymore. It'll just be marketing, because data analytics and AI will just be the norm. Okay, and so this is a funnel. You typically will have to have a funnel like this, and obviously, if you're gonna go through this process, you gotta identify what metrics matters to you. These are some examples of different metrics that'll be relevant for each of the different stages. Like in the awareness stage, you gotta be very clear on what's the metric that you're gonna be measuring. If you're a student, you're thinking about starting a new company, for example, you gotta consider all of these metrics, because these are the decisions that are gonna be based upon. These are how your investors, for example, wanna evaluate you by, because this is the metrics that matters, like traffics and views, under awareness. Engagement, how engaged are they in with your content, for example, during nurturing stage. In the acquisition stage, you want to care about the sign-up rate, how many people buy your products and services. Activation, for those who signed up and purchased a product, did they activate their account? Did they verify the email? Did they start doing things in your app? Okay, did they complete a profile, for example? Retention, you want to be measuring things like the usage rate, okay, the number of people who return every week, every month. That depends on your products also. Under referral, you want to care about your NPS, which stands for Net Promoter Score. So if you get about at least 8 or even 9 out of 10, then you know that you're doing something very well, that you refer this to other people. Your customers will refer your product to other people. Then of course, how many customers get referred? What's the ratio? Is it 1 to 0 or 1 to 2? For every 1 customers, they refer to 2 customers, for example. Okay, and then revival, how many re-logins back? All right, so this is a generic view. So if you are running your own business, thinking of starting your own, or working in a company, this is that's that important for you to identify. Different business, different industry will care about different metrics. Now, how do you get started? Okay, there are 3 things that you need to align yourself with: mindset, methods, and tools. Mindset, which is about the why. Methods is about the how, and tools is about the what. What can you use? All right, it's also aligned with if you know Simon Sinek, he basically outlined that everything will have to be revolved around the why, and then the what, and then the how. So same thing over here. So basically, let's start with the mindset. If you want to get started with data-driven mindset marketing, you gotta have the right kind of mindset. And the right kind of mindset would be, this is a non-exhaustive list, but these are important lists to consider. Number 1, it's never about the opinion of other people or even your boss, but it's always about finding evidences. Evidence is data. With data, you can challenge opinion. Then number 2, you gotta put into your mind that, You don't have to start with big data. This is especially true with a big company. You can start with any data that you have, whether it's in Excel or it's in your app, whatnot. Start with small data. Okay, you want to start with big data, then you got a big problem. You want to start with small data, you can start very easily. Then number 3 is, your data is, oftentimes it's quite dirty, whether it's in the wrong formatting, you are not, typing it right in which column, right? So there's a way for you to do this, and you got to make sure that your data is clean all the time. And number 4 is you got to have the mindset of experimentation. Okay, keep it dirty, keep it lean. Keep the experimentation and the product, if you're creating one, dirty, not the data. Data is to be clean. Test things out in small batches. All right. You got small data, clean it up a bit and experiment with it. Make something out of it. Analyze the data and create new product out of it, create new ad, whatnot. And then you also have to think about, there's a lot of manual work that can be automated these days, because anything that can be automated will be automated. And there's so many tools for you that you could actually use that I'm going to introduce later on. And then once you have the mindset, then you got to drill this down into your head if you want to get started with being data driven and data literate. The methods will come next. That is the how. The methods, okay, if you remember this process. So what are methods? Methods are things like, for example, define narrow criteria of your ideal customer profile. Your methods are provide ungated assets with chatbot to drive top funnel. I mean, this sounds like a jargon already, but there are things like identify buying intent of your leads, send reminder to trigger actions at certain events. So all of these methods would live in any of these stages right here. All right. And then tools. Now, so these are basically, all these are just basically logos that has been shrunk and categorized in different categories. These are all of the MarTech tools as of 2020. I don't think this is a complete worldwide list, but it basically tells you that there's so many tools out there in the world for many different things for you to execute different methods here. And the number of tools has grown exponentially. Actually, only in 2014, there were basically less than 1,000 of these tools. All right, just basically 2 years ago now, the total number of solutions should be about was basically about 8,000, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's about 10,000 by now, or 12,000. Okay, so there are so many tools out there that you can use, but how do you even pick? Maybe your university will teach you Excel, which is one tool, but there's so many other tools out there that this is always a evolving field in marketing. So I'll give you an example. In the awareness stage right here, one of the methods, for example, that you would want to have is basically, and also implement, is basically write articles with keywords that rank together. Okay, because you do this method, it will drive awareness stage. Here are basically some of the steps that you can take, for example, and these are basically the real steps that I personally use, and I know lots of people use to gain results. For example, you want to research keywords to target your niche. Niche is basically your target market, the people that you want to serve. Then identify other relevant keywords that rank together. So if you basically trying to rank for students, okay, you probably want to, you would know that there are other keywords associated with students, for example, like travel, homework, friends. No, all these are keywords and they would rank together. So you got to find them. And then you can auto write articles and edit them. And then you can get it auto check your keyword to make sure that your article is gonna rank well when people search, for example, student. When they search for student in Google, The search result will show you, that you're top of the page, the first page, and that's what you want because they'll help to drive awareness. So these are some examples of the tools that you can use, like Href for research keywords, keyword research, use content distribution to find if they can rank together. Okay, and then you basically download it as a CSV, and you make sure that use tools like this, Jarvis, SEO Server, Grammarly to do number 3 and number 4. All right, this is an exact case study, a real case study. Actually, I've got a lot of these for these specific ones. Here, for example, we got Peanut, which is basically a community for women who wants to be fertile so that they can prepare themselves and get babies. And so basically, if you look at this chart over here, all right, these are organic traffic. Organic traffic literally means, the traffic that you didn't pay for. They just found you. How did they find you? They found you from the articles, hundreds and thousands of articles that they wrote. Okay, they wrote a lot of different articles and making sure that the keywords are ranked together. So they will search for women, fertility, babies, moms, pregnancy, hospitals, all of these keywords that rank together, and they write out different articles, content, videos, usually articles. All right, so just basically within 12 months of launching, doing this, they get basically a mind-blowing 3 million organic visits. 3 million. So if you think about it, you got 3 million people visiting your website, towards at the end of the 12 months. And think about how much that will translate into sales or whatever it is that you're measuring. Okay, so this is one. Another one over here, this is for B2B. For example, you can nurture opt-in leads to book a demo. Here, for example, you would want to, a white paper is, for example, a gated content. Okay, so whenever you post, you created a white paper, a PDF that teaches you something. Okay, you put it in a website, and then in order for your visitors to download that content, you'll have to fill in, your first name, last name, the email. Then you could basically set up a system that you can just automatically do the rest of these things, like auto send a thank you page. Okay, auto send the email automation with that specific white paper or PDF or whatnot. Then you can auto verify this person's contact information if it's correct. You can enrich it, make it complete. Maybe you want to add LinkedIn URL. Maybe you want to add, where this company is from. Okay, then you can even do it in a way that you can auto connect leads in LinkedIn. And then start talking to them automatically without you having to do all of this manually. Imagine that you got hundreds and thousands of these guys. You can't do all of this. You got to automate this. All right. So this will impact metrics like, the number of discovery calls booked, the number of people who book a demo, to show your product. And you can use tools like this, okay, just to do all of this. You just got to know what methods what is the method and what tools that you got to use. My last example here for revival, all right, for B2C. You want to revive the users that are inactive, that have been inactive from your product. So here you want to, spin up your data, look at Excel, you use Excel, or you could use another tool. You find out who is the inactive users, analyze it with analytics, and then you can auto send one free shipping for the next purchase, for example. And if there's no login for 30 days, you can auto send the 20% cashback for the next purchase. And this will be the setup that you will want to have. All right, one of the many configurations that you can have, so that you'll be able to make sure that they re-log in again. You want to be able to track the events created, the session times. All right. So these are 3 of the many different examples that you can take. Okay, I want to bring you back into a higher level. So all of these methods, imagine that this is just 3, but there's quite a lot of different methods and approaches that companies use, especially the more progressive ones. Those who actually use this, we will categorize them as data-driven organizations. And if they use these approaches, they would be able to increase their ROI by 5 to 8%. Sorry, so 5 to 8x. Okay, versus those who don't. And on these companies who implemented data-driven marketing are 6 times more likely to be profitable than those who didn't use it. And last, 87% of marketers say that the data is the most underutilized asset still today. This is about 90%. So think about all of the data that you have and you're not utilizing it. It's mind-blowing. But let me go through one by one. So it's very important that if you want to work in a company or you're in a company, it's important to make sure that the company is data-driven. And what data-driven here means is basically, this is a framework from CATS, right, to determine what it requires you to, what does it require a company to become data-driven. So you have to see this from 6 dimensions: strategy, analytics, data, technology, organization, and talent. And you have to start from the core, the inner circle or inner hexagons. You got to have that under strategy, for example, you got to have the data and analytics strategy in order for you to have KPIs. If you don't have these 2, you can't do customer experience design. You cannot do digital transformation. All right. For your talents, you got to have some basic database and reporting skills so that you can do these other all these other things. Same thing with the other 6 dimensions. So this is what we call the flying elephant. So you know how maybe you've heard about unicorns or decacorns. Unicorns is basically the companies that have reached $1 billion in valuation within, I think it's about 8 years since incorporation. Okay. So here at CATS, we have this term for a highly mature data-driven organization, which is the flying elephant. All right. So you basically, a company like Uber, Google, Amazon, right? Those who always use data, they are literally living on the outer edge over here. Your mom and pop shop, the retail stores, they don't even have any of these. Okay, so think about it. It's a competitive advantage. So second part, I'll just elaborate very quickly. Those who actually, the companies that use data-driven marketing are 6 times more likely to be profitable. Why? Because using data analytics and AI and the methods that I showed you, you could use it to increase your customer loyalty, your conversion rates, optimize your customer journey from awareness all the way to being a loyal fan. Engage with your content. You can retarget, target people in different channels. If it's Facebook, Instagram, different channels. You can make sure that you don't waste your money on advertisement. All right, it's simply not about putting your ads in a big billboard in the highway. It's not about that, unless that's your target market. Then you can use it to increase the integration between different platforms so that the data talks to each other. Okay. Here, okay, so a lot of marketeers say that companies are still not utilizing the data. Why? I think there are literally 2 reasons why. Number one is data silos. So what data silo means is that think about, you got marketing department, sales department, finance department, all these different departments. They have data, right? Finance has things like payroll, how much things cost, the expenses, the profit, all of that. Marketing has data about the website visitors, the people who downloaded your stuff. Product teams also have different types of data, but all of these different departments don't talk to each other. I mean, the data don't talk to one another. So this is what we call data silos, data that is isolated from different departments, functions. Okay. The second reason why your company are not utilizing your asset is because basically the employees are data illiterate. right? They don't have the ability to work with data or understand data. So these two issues. So let me take a look at data silos very quickly. So this I just explained, right? And what in reality actually happens is things like this. So different departments would use different systems altogether. Okay, the data may, talk, separately from one another, and then it causes a lot of mess at the back. So it's not really about hiring data scientists. Okay. Second point is basically, in order for you to do this, I mean, maybe this is a bit too early, but I think it's important that you remember that the data has to be centralized somewhere. I mean, this is what it's all about, centralized somewhere. If you have a data scientist, it's good. They can create a data lake and make something useful. If not, you gotta create a repository to structure it. I mean, okay, so with the problem of data illiteracy, these are the 32 skills that we have standardized on data analytics and AI skills that you would need, and there are 32 of them. So there are things like data cleansing, reinforcement, your supervised ML, unsupervised ML. So you gotta have, I'm not saying that you gotta have all of this. It depends on what levels that you're in. So here, we have, for example, tracks that you should go for. If you are, if you're a beginner, all right, basically for any professionals, you gotta become data literate professionals, right? In most cases, for a lot of you, if you have no interest in computer science, math, software engineering, this is probably the landing spot you should have. You should just basically know Excel, how to use dashboard, how to visualize and storytell of data with Tableau and Power BI too. Okay, this is what you really need. It's not really about hiring data scientists. We still have people and executives telling, senior executives saying that, oh, we need to hire data scientists. But no, for the most part, all of the employees, they gotta be data literate. Okay, and yeah, that's what it really means. It comes in different levels, kind of like financial literacy, for example. The basic level of keeping expenses. Then on the highest level, you would know how to do financial modeling, okay, regression analysis, financial projections, etc. All right, so if you have to take away anything, you just have to remember the mental framework. Okay, you got the marketing process, you got the data-driven process, park it together. Then there's mindset that you need to adopt, and for different stages, there are methods, enabled by tools. Okay, so you can start anywhere. You can start in, you can be good at, start anywhere and be good at one thing, or one stage, for example. Awareness, maybe this is what you're, more likely to go towards. And then once you're good at this, once you find out all of the, different methods, you don't have to be best at it, but once you have to find out what methods work for these different stages, what tools that you can use, it becomes a tool set, and companies pay you for these kind of things, even if it's just one. Okay, then you can go into adjacent ones, and then another adjacent one, but just don't go from awareness and then you go into referral. I mean, don't go from awareness and then go all the way to revival. But I mean, people can do that too. So, okay, start anywhere, get good at one stage, and then you just move into whichever stage that you want to move into. Okay, so that's all. And I hope that this has been quite useful.
Any questions from the audience? Very interesting topic, Dev.
Thank you, Arnie.
If you want to ask question, you can type in the chat or you can directly ask Jeff. Right, so we have learned 3 ideas, data analytics and also AI. And also you have to have a good mindset, good method, and also the right tools, right, to impose the data-driven marketing in your organization.
Yeah, that is right. Okay, great. No questions, yeah?
All right. I think your slide is very smooth and can be understood easily.
Yeah, thank you. I hope it helps you to debunk some of the myths that you have.
Yeah. Yesterday we learned about the a topic on building a marketing dream team. So perhaps the companies can consider one of the team members would be the data analyst to be in the marketing dream team.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so thank you so much, Jeff, for your
Thank you, Arnie, and everyone.
sharing. Right, we really benefit from the sessions, and a good session to wrap up the Tantra Festival 2021. Thank you again to Jeff. Hopefully all of you have benefited from this 1.5 day session on Tantra Festival. We have look into the topics on ABCs of marketing, on branding, on IP, on CRM, and finally on data-driven marketing. Right. So Cik Muiz will share the slides on the feedback for the day 2 and also day 1. Right. And also he will share the link in the chat. Thank you again from Tantra for joining us for Tantra Festival 2021. So this topic is an overview of what will happen and what will be offered by Tantra. The full module will be offered in 2022. I'm not sure whether it is too early, right? We are still in November, but from all of us in Tantra, we wish you all the best for 2022 and happy 2022. Happy New Year. Thank you so much.